Hi, everyone. My name is Adi Chrysler. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at AppsFlyer. I lead the marketing for our Protect 360 solution, which is our anti-fraud solution. And since I've been there, I've seen how fraudsters become more and more sophisticated, which forces us as well to be much more sophisticated in our fight against fraud. And in this panel, we'll talk exactly on how to, what type of frauds do we see and how to tackle these. So let's start with a short introduction by everyone. Galit.
Hey, yeah. I'm Galit Spielberg. I'm the Senior Director of R&D in Playtika, in charge of the R&D in one of the studios. I'm there for a year and a half. I can tell you that naturally, as a person that owns a game, this area and this domain of security, of course, has a lot of impact on us and draws our attention to make sure that we are avoiding game player experience abuse or game economy. I'll explain a little bit later.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Tovar. I am the CEO and co-creator of Appdome. We're a cyber defense, mobile cyber defense automation platform.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samir Anand. I am the CEO and co-founder of AD2Click Media. For last 12 years, I've been dealing with a lot of clients at an agency. I'm seeing a lot of frauds and which happens on a daily basis on the campaigns. So let's talk about that today and see how we can optimize the things.
Hi, hello, I'm Anton. I'm a product manager at Guardsquare, mobile application protection solution that protects applications and SDKs from reverse engineering and tampering.
Hello guys, I'm Udit, co-founder and CMO of Trackier.com, and I'm a friend of all of these. We are a tracking solution. We are an attribution partners for for app owners, for ad agencies, for iGaming, each and every one. That's why I'm a biggest fan of them.
Thank you. Let's start with a more overview on what are the primary dangers. Maybe you start, Galit. What are the primary dangers that app and game publishers should be aware of in terms of cyber attacks and fraudsters?
So I can divide it to two main parts, main pillars. One is, of course, the standard that is relevant for all, I can say, common industries related to CIA. And I'm referring here to, of course, the abuse of our computing power, causing denial of service, redirecting to a different site, and etc. I will refer here a little bit more to the areas that are particularly impacting the game industry, and I'm referring to those that are impacting our game economy and the player's experience. So, for example, account takeover, let's say, which is also common to other industries. Here, think of the fact that when someone is stealing your account or taking over your account, he has the ability to change your profile, your avatar, he can change your behavior. Definitely, this is not a very good experience to the player. And again, this is a domain in which the experience is very important. Theft of our assets, of course, impacting the game economy. Let's say that people are able to steal coins, gems, rapid chips, whatever, and then use it to their own use or to sell it, of course. Surely this is impacting our game economy and our revenue. Bots are being used to bully in some tables in order to cheat and manipulate in order to gain more coins, more chips, etc., and then, of course, use them in different tables. This is also causing bad user experience. Imagine yourself sitting in a table with a bot. I don't need to say anything more than that. And definitely it is impacting our game economy because then they're having more coins and they can use them and it is impacting their balances. We have also cheaters that for them, it is just the idea that they won't lose a game. And it means that they will do everything to win. So for example, if you're having a game that has, one of the activities is to attack the opponent table or board, then I can do something so that whenever an opponent is coming to attack my board, then I will crush his game. again, impacting balance, impacting user experience. All of those, we can say, are impacting three major things. User experience, it means that user has no trust and no fun, and he will go. This is simply attrition. Game balances, of course, impacting our economy, and again, the third one, revenues and DAO, that is basically the interest of the industry.
Thank you. And yeah, I can say that from the AppsFlyer side, we also see the main impact of bots is on basically the effort of the UA manager itself, that then they have to, their data is polluted with bots and takes lots of time to clean the data and also make correct business decisions based on real users and not fake ones. Anton, maybe you want to elaborate on that?
So, no, I don't need a microphone. We have another one here.
Anton is already loud. Don't need microphone.
That as well. So, when thinking about cyber attacks, think about three categories. This is what I advise all the engineers and developers to do. Think about the business side of things, namely, what is your application doing? How exactly do you monetize that? And what are the threats that appear in that direction? The second thing is think about the data that you are handling. What data do you collect from the users? What do you know about your users? And what can be compromised? Handling the data securely is, of course, key if you want to gain and retain users' trust. And the third component is the interaction between many users on your platform or on your game. So this can be fairness, this can be fair play, this can be other business rules that you set for your application. Those have to be equal for everyone. Those have to be fair for everyone. Otherwise, again, there is an impact on your reputation, on the user's reaction to your application. So those three categories: business, data, and interaction in multi-user environment is what you should think about when thinking about threats.
Thank you. Tom, you want to add in?
Yeah, I'll just say something really. So I think the question was the top three threats, right? And so I think I would say, don't underestimate the exploit economy. And the exploit economy is not all bad. Cheats in mobile games are a thriving business. They're venture-funded businesses. They exist both in legitimate circles as well as and in competitions and so forth. So I think the exploit economy is alive and well, both for good and bad, and it will continue to be that. And I think if you are a game maker in today's environment, you have to figure out a way to cooperate and participate and embrace and support the community that's going to be using those tools and techniques. As I said in my talk earlier, not all cheating is bad, and not all cheating destroys the user experience, and you can actually make money from cheaters, more so in a lot of cases than you can from legitimate players. At least that's what's happening with a lot of our customers. And I think one of the biggest threats that we have is to get in a big pitched battle with the attackers, because they simply move faster than the developer can move. And if you set big giant walls up, you're going to lose. And I also think that going into this economy or into this world with blinders on, without the data and intelligence to understand what's actually happening, what techniques and attacks are happening against your mobile application, are the kind of the biggest threats that you face. So the exploit economy, being blind, and not working with and trying to co-opt that community would be the big three.
Thank you. Samir, can you maybe give us some examples of very sophisticated attacks that you've seen? How deep can hackers and cheaters and fraudsters infiltrate mobile apps and games?
Yeah, sure. So many of the examples are there, like these cheaters basically do a lot of activities which is related to like click injections. They do a lot of SDK spoofing, then click spamming, organic hijacking of the installs. They run also the automated broad processes, and they do installs on the user mobile without letting them know on their mobile phones. So these are the classic examples which they do it on a regular basis.
definitely. Udit, you want to add?
Yeah, on the technical side, like cheaters can exploit your codes and the servers. They can steal the sensitive data and they can distort your gameplay, which can eventually lead into the illegitimate activities into the game, which will lead to affecting the legitimate players. For example, I'll tell you one example. Like one of our clients were facing one issues with the fraudulent credit cards. These cheaters were using the fraudulent credit cards for the in-app purchases, which eventually leads to the unbehavioral aspects of which can lead to the unbehavioral aspects of the games. So this how like the cheaters can reach out to you.
Anton, I'll also ask you the next one. How does these attacks affect user retention? And is there anything that we can, sorry, Udit.
All right.
And is there anything that we can do to help mitigate these attacks and reduce churn?
Yeah, I think for the user retention, you have to interact with the clients. So if you are interacting with your users regularly, and you are educating them about these cheating activities, like the link spamming, they are like the fraud links, then I think for some extent you can neglect these kind of frauds.
Anton, would you like to answer the same one?
So yeah, again, specifically about games, as we talked in my previous talk, the impact of an attack can go well beyond the direct monetary impact or revenue loss for that particular user, because in a multi-user environment, users can affect each other. Therefore, it takes only one cheater to affect a whole big audience of your game. So that's something to keep in mind, right? When you are operating in a multi-user environment, social, gaming, multiplayer, yeah, it is very important to think about the impact on the whole audience that you have in your application. The core player community of a game determines the fate of the whole game, right? Because they play the game, they attract other players, they create content on social. They basically do a lot to promote your game. They are voluntary promoters of your product. And if that community, if that core community loses trust in your product, you are in trouble. So this is important to think about the impact of the attacks, not only in a sense of direct monetary impact, but also on the impact on community, on reputation, on safety of your users online.
Samir, I know you also have some insights on that.
Yes, obviously, I'll just answer it from the deep harmful things which can do. Basically, it has the negative side, where I have told in my previous talk that obviously when a user is not knowing about the campaign, like the app being installed in the mobile for the user, unknowingly or knowingly, because of if it's happening through a bot or it's happening through on a shadow of any other app, it is happening in the mobile app, mobile of the user. But what happens, like many of the times we have seen as a marketing agency that many of these users are being retained because these users are not being noticed basically. They don't notice the mobile app has been installed in their mobile, and they don't uninstall it. So retention goes higher side. And this is how these fraudsters, these cheaters basically affect the retention. And eventually, if a user come under the notice that the mobile app has been identified, and they immediately uninstall it. So this has a negative and positive impact on the both side. But at the end, what we have seen that from the marketing side, that ultimately advertiser go in the losses, because any of the marketing campaign, any of the advertiser would like to have some of the revenues basically in their campaign. So if it's a mobile app for any other industry, or maybe a gaming app, they require LTV of the users, they require the deposits of the users. So this doesn't happen in that case. And proper optimization of the campaign is very, very important here, because if you are working on any of the MMP platforms like AppsFlyer or Branch or Kochava or anyone, you get the raw report there, and you had to see that what the users have been doing there. So after installed, are they able to do any kind of other activities like a gameplay, or maybe like a video view, or maybe like any other activities? Have they done some deposits or something like that? So proper optimization is the key factor here, because with this they can actually do a lot of things to stop this kind of activities.
Thank you. Tom, I know you had an entire talk about it, but maybe you can share some, discuss on the positive side of these attacks and how to use them as a retention strategy.
Yeah, so I definitely think I agree with the panelists, and certainly with what Galit said earlier, which is you have to separate sort of what I'll call fraud, which is an intention to steal or take or harvest values or data from a mobile application or a game, from cheating. So cheating is, to me, an effort to participate in the game just in a different manner. And there are business decisions to be made when a cheater is cheating. There's no real business decisions to be made when someone's trying to take credentials or do an account takeover or something like that. Those kinds of things are not the kinds of things to monetize. But cheating per se, someone adding points to a game, someone skipping levels, doing level emulation or purchase emulation, memory editing, and of the like, does present very interesting opportunities to create new communities of players, new monetization pools that you can go after, and actually transform what might otherwise be a bad act into a new class of player community that you can monetize and market to and generate ads from and so forth. So the line is pretty clear that if the intention of the technical act, and the cheating by and large is a technical act, if the intention of the technical act is to remain in the game and play the game, boosting retention, etc., then you might want to think about what you do when you can, first of all, if you can discover it, if you can detect it, and if you have sufficient data to make a business decision technically within the application. And third, do you have the control over the user experience when these things happen to actually transform that event into a monetization moment? And I really do think that there's, in the gaming customers that we work with, that's really my message to them is separate in your mind this notion of actions, technical actions that keep the user, even a fake user, in the game play. I mean, let's face it, when we all sign up for games, we don't use our real email addresses, so we're all kind of fake users. But when a fake user gets in a game and playing a game and is there, you might actually make a decent amount of money from it. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah, so from the marketing strategies, kind of just looking at it as
another player,
another segment that we're targeting in a different way with different messaging.
A very technical one, because the cheaters are developers. I mean, we are. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say we. Whoops, sorry. I mean, cheaters are developers. I mean, we are a community that love the games that you guys create. We just want to play them differently. We have our own view of how we want to play them. When you tap into that, there's a lot of money to be made from that community that wants to play that game in that way.
Interesting. Galit, maybe you can share with us some best practices or industry standards on what kind of measures we can take that app and game publishers can implement to protect their games.
So part of them are really more technical, and they're referring to making sure that our code is safe and written based on the security standards. We are also conducting PT in our company internally to make sure that we identify as early as possible the potential risks of vulnerabilities. We have a bug bounty program that really occupies people. This is their job, to explore our games and find bugs. We are having a regular review in order to not to wait too much and take care, of course, immediately at the highest risks that are found. Some actions are, I might say, relating more to what Tom mentioned here, are related to bots, because you don't really want to fight them too much, but you don't want them to bully the others in their tables or in their game. So you try to identify them by implementing some non-human logic, and then segment them and try to shift them to a different table, to a different place where they can't really bully, but again, maybe to be occupied with other bots, let's say. Yeah. Some of the activities, by the way, are being done with the business. Sometimes we have to take some difficult decisions to say, for example, to reduce a feature or to check the ROI of a feature, whether it is worth having it, considering the risks. We will sometimes limit the feature or open it to a limited time, to a limited segment, or limit the prices, etc. And of course, we make sure that our developers and the business are going through an increased awareness of the risks.
Udit, maybe you can answer the same question, but talk more about the metrics that we should be looking at when it comes to best practices.
I think before the metrics, I'll tell you like what should be the the process, like what should be the key measure for to detect the frauds. So like first of all, you have to be you have to validate the user on the server side, and like server side, if you are like you can do like it's not fully like 100% sure that you will not get the fraud, but still you will get the fraud. But like like maybe the 80 to 86% of fraud you can detect. But and after that, like you have to implement the multi-factor authentication, so that as you can you can disallow the bots on this on your game. And I feel like if somebody like if any game owners or publisher is like is compliant with GDPR and CCPA, then they might be they are safe with their frauds like majorly. And apart from metrics, I think the user retention, suppose like it depends on the FTDs. Like so suppose like as Tom was saying, like we register on the with a fake email ID, but how much we are interacting with the game. So I remember like I registered on Candy Crush, and I registered with the fake ID, and I then I played it for 1 day just to test whether it's better game than the other which I used to play like earlier, but I think it was not. So I lost the money. I lost the monetization effort of the marketing at that point of time. Like for the brands, it's a loss, but for me, like I'm secure. I cannot get the spam, and like I never made any purchases from my fake IDs. Like I cannot calculate the ROI. I can increase your marketing budget, but I will not give you the money. Like I'll not give you my money like on my fake IDs. I don't know what games you're playing. Maybe, but till now, no.
Yeah, and generally, I think that brands should always be on top and always have fraud in mind, and always check the metrics. If we see that the conversion rate is crazy high, even though it's probably going to make us happy because we think we're doing great, yeah, but sometimes we're not, and it's
it will decrease the churn rate. You will get less churn rate if you are continuously monitoring the behavioral analytics.
Yeah. Anton, how important it is to educate developers about the risk associated with cyber attacks and fraud? What role can the user awareness play in reducing the impact of these fraud attacks?
Yeah, so of course, when you implement your application, yeah, it's done by developers, and the secure application is only possible if your development team knows what they are doing, they comply to security practices, their processes are secure, and so on. So in that sense, of course, it's very important. when we are talking about educating people, educating developers, different people learn in different ways, right? Sometimes what people do is they roll out a standard security training to their development team, and they think, that's all right, yeah, that now my software is going to be magically secure. That is obviously not the case, right? So education of developers also starts with good examples. It starts with visualizing the threats that happen to their applications, and it starts early in the SDLC. So it starts from good design, good requirements design, of course, peer review, continuous testing, showing practically what are the vulnerabilities in the application that you develop, what are the attack scenarios, and then when it's visible, when it's palpable, then you can actually learn and grow. And without that, obviously, there is no effect on security, and the outcome is going to be a disaster. So that's my take.
Thank you. Anyone wants to add to that?
Yeah, I'll say that, as a developer, I mean, frameworks are being introduced that eliminate the need for developers to understand and learn, things. I mean, we have low-code, no-code frameworks now to build applications and games, and, every single language, from Unity on down is making it easier and easier to kind of eliminate that learning curve for the developer in order to release games. I know for us, I mean, that's something that we pioneered on the cyberspace, which is our view is the developer doesn't need to know how to do it. They should understand why they should do it, and the business team should help. They should work with the business teams to collaborate on that. I really like your question, your comment about bug bounties, because that was actually the first non-blocking action that I recommended to some customers. So I said, when you see someone doing an attack against your application, just give them a pop-up that says, hey, you may have caught something we're interested in, right? We do have a bug bounty program if you're interested in applying, click here. And they actually got a tremendous amount of participation in their bug bounty program by just detecting the attack inside the application and redirecting that otherwise attacker to something that could actually end up benefiting the organization, because now they're incentivized to share with the publisher kind of what they found and so forth. So you can leverage the community that's attacking you to educate you and share that knowledge with the with the whole company. So just one more idea for everyone to think about.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I think that we're almost out of time. I'll see if there are any questions from the crowd. Questions, anyone?
Come on, at 3:57, you guys aren't?
If not, then if anyone wants to add some closing remarks before we wrap up.
No, but I want to hear the same applause that I just heard
Yeah.
in the other room.
Yeah. Well, thank you all, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.